Welcome to Free Range. Sean Bond is skilled at accessing the user manual for DNA technology of the body to track issues back to the point of origin in order to resolve any problem happening to the body. It may also be accessed by organic, spiritual technology within each individual. Sean assists in creating operating systems to help individuals manifest dormant abilities that unlock their psychic potential and upgrade the body's energy systems. Everyone embodies spiritual technology, which encompasses an infinite scope of possibilities, such as connecting the individual with their spiritual entourage, such as their higher selves, the Creator, the Mother Earth's realms, and or other expressions of themselves throughout time and space to resolve issues and exchange wisdom, knowledge, and skill sets. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Sean Bond.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, and I have an exciting show today. I have our frequent guest, Sterling Hill, with me, but I have our main guest today is Sean Bond, and he is the founder of the Psionic League. He is a healer. And I'm going to read a little bit about his background. He was the founder of the Psionic League and Silver Cord Spiritual Science. They are a group of spiritual healers who aid others in holistic healing and spiritual growth. He has skills in past life reading, DNA reading, past life regression, Akashic record reading, licensed massage therapy, pain release, trigger point therapy, myofascial release, fascial release, chakra balancing, Reiki master healing, entity removal, and more. That's a lot. It's amazing what the abilities you have. Could you tell us a little bit, besides all your skills, where did they come from? When did you find out about them? Did this happen at an early age, or just tell us a little bit more about yourself? You're a very interesting person.
I appreciate that kind words. Yeah, abilities. So besides like the main path and like awakening and healing myself and the whole ascending process of becoming a greater multidimensional being and goal of awareness, knowing, and oneness and love to full output, and being able to figure out, tap into the universe and all that, and all the light body stuff that people go through the great work for. Like a lot of Hindu myth and stuff like talk about the ability to use range being a distraction. I see it more of a marker stone, and to be in the bodhisattva pathway of like, oh, if everyone is me, and this whole game on this planet is to help our brothers and sisters rise up out of their suffering, their ignorance, their perpetual state of not knowing themselves, and then the things that have set up here as an abusers in the light and dark war back and forth. And as we rise out of the dark ages and take back the power of ourself out of the darkness into the light, yeah, the abilities help awaken the planet. My orientation is out of flashy parlor tricks and into stuff that actually helps the game and the unity equation first, and then, hey, if we got parlor tricks that come along the way, whatever. But and then so my abilities started manifesting after I had a certain amount of awakening events, good and negative, of like visitations, spirits coming, and also getting spiritually attacked by like negative beings, and a lot of temporal dilations of going somewhere else for a long period of time, and then it all downloading in back. You usually like while I'm sleeping, and it would be like a dream for like years, and then, oh my God, why is so vivid? What is that? And then you know, all the memories and abilities and blueprints coming in, and then me kind of like asking more about that, and then I being kind of like forced into a make or break moment that forced me to really focus in hard on reclaiming my power and forming a way to read DNA and what's going on in my environment and sense into things and translate. My empathic ability was like opened up all the way, so I could feel everything. And then this was used as a way to abuse me though first. So it was like super torturous. And then I was able to figure out through the translations of everything that was going on, what was that, and then how to balance the empathic ability so I didn't have to feel suffering or the absorbed negative energy turned all the way up. And then so I help people empathically as they awaken their sensing device of their infinite processor of energy of their heart, and the rest of the emotional body. And that's the translator that goes into translating all this information coming at us once. And then I got into like narrowing that down and translating a bunch of different things at once, and getting very fast at that after like training each ability and then stacking all the abilities together. Then I learned how to reverse engineer literally anything I scanned as an ability external that I would view. And then also the DNA would have a blueprint in that, and a book. Or like multiple books is a library, but like the metaphor of a book of your heart emanating this thing that you can visually look into and read the synopsis and even more than a book, because it comes with a story and visions and all the ways that your sensory perception has been tuned to receive information. And I teach anyone how to do this. No one is limited in being able to do this, but I mean like fully, they are having limitations put on them. A lot of things are broken, a lot of things need repair, but none of it is too far gone, and people can absolutely just reprogram their entire life and go to the state of being that they vision in their goals to become.
That's absolutely awesome. Wow. In what period of time did this occur over? Was this years, or when did it first start? Were you just a youngster? Or, I mean, you're still a youngster to me.
You're very good at asking questions in a specific way that like, oh, nobody asked that way specifically like that. It's multiple choice. It started like I had like eruption awakenings and a lot of dream experiences, but like the Matrix, the school, the TV kept like you bringing me back in, and like fading out the other perceptions and veiling things in the background without me noticing, until a point where, like, you know, in the ups and downs of that awakening scaling system in my body. And then around 17, like a huge horror. I've talked about this in a few videos, but I try not to dive into it too much, and people can very easily misunderstand it. But essentially, I went to a place that was like a void prison for like a large untold amount of time, in compressed periods. It would have been like in the real world barely any time at all. Because essentially not conscious in the external, and would have passed out, and been in the prison for quite a long time, and kind of tortured and fractured into a whole bunch of pieces, and kind of made another that make or break moment to where I tapped into my deep power, became aware of a lot of things, overcome anything that I was dealing with in the prison, and then learned every ability that I came across. In the beginning, I kind of was enraged, so I went around beating up predators. But like then after a while, it was boring, and then I started like, oh, this isn't gonna get me out. So I was like, peace. But that rage came from the torture. But so I went into figuring out, oh, I can bring all these beings to unity and unite them and heal them in like with the various things that they're teaching me about. Beings that put other beings in pain, that are angry all the time, that are an ego or evil or all this stuff, they are just overflowing with so much pain that they can't see anything, and they are just programmed by the pain. So that trained me to release pain and a lot of other amazing time. I basically mastered time and space in a lot of ways in that place. Then I learned how to get out of it. And when I got out, I had like a bunch of downloading periods. The external world reacted to me strongly, and then I was visited a whole bunch, and then more temporal. So here we go, and I like it was like, oh, in order to come back to the world, you have to go through these experiences, resolve this stuff, and also train with all these experts in like how to maintain the timeline with what I was, and then I got into like this heavenish realm that was like all about like, oh, okay, I went to this hard training ground that trained me so hard, it was exhausting. And then I went to this healing place that like rejuvenated me and then put me back together. And I had a bunch of guides and awarenesses, and that was like coming to me later on in more dreams of remembering the situation, because at the time it was like a whole bunch of information coming at once, and then all external distractions of my friends like, hey, are you okay? You passed out there. What happened? And then having no one to talk to about it, because you just
I get that. Who are you gonna tell?
Yeah, and then I just put it all together. Kind of had all these motions and mental thoughts and memories coming back constantly, even though I was like, oh, this can't be real. And then also there was something trying to get me to forget about, but I knew it happened. And then after every reminder that I could find that would trigger different situations of years within that time, I started integrating it all, and it started flowing in, and I connected the super consciousness that recorded it all to the subconscious of the body and the gut and all that, into the main conscious. And I kind of like the easiest way I do this is like bringing it all together in the heart, but and then it just kind of flows very quickly. And yeah, mine's not exactly conventional, but that's not the only awakening I had. So I definitely think people can do it without that. After that, I went down rabbit holes upon rabbit holes on the internet, like to find everything and then piece together. I found out you could learn this ability without what I have doing, and I put it together in playlists. If people want to just like go down rabbit holes and of consciousness of mind-blowing things, I got addicted to that. Just blowing the mind.
Yeah, that's why I put that on a lot of my posts on Facebook. This is mind-blowing.
Yeah, exactly. You know how it is. Yeah, and then it's so nothing's too far out of a range or reach, and as long as we're like seeking this wisdom to us, the tools will present themselves, and as we accumulate these tools that help us in life, they'll build upon each other, and then we can take off once we have the basics.
Wow, that's a lot. That's awesome though. I'm really impressed. One of the things that I was going to ask you about, if you would be able to explain or describe how you access the operating manual for DNA, I think you said. I mean, how do you visualize that, or how does that come to you?
So whatever senses you're born with the most, You want to train all of them, see if you can visualize them all as one, but like give each one a specific amount of attention, especially when you're getting it out of the point of doubt or like haziness or white noise or whatever. So like all the voyance, the clairs of voyance, gustus, all the
Ascensions,
audience, all
clairvoyance,
that.
clairvoyance. Yeah. Well, that's fascinating because I feel like, with myself anyway, I feel like more of my telepathy is starting to come online.
Oh, that's wonderful. So that'd be
Little things here and there, you know.
Yeah. So how would you describe it? Like a heart that's connecting to the brain's hemispheres telepathy that like is like mine. I've seen most of the information is translated by the heart, and then it's like stored a lot there, and then it kind of like comes out in the brain.
I think the heart, and being in the heart and being in the now are a requirement for that to work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You have any comments on that, Sterling?
Yeah, really important. You know, our DNA, it's like a coding system for the organic body we're in, and we hop into one of these organic bodies and we have this genetic code. Sometimes we try to hop into something that's going to more closely fit us. And a lot of people today, what I see that they do is they've got so many of these bad energies and entities and this programming that they get programmed into from day one, all this negativity. You'll never amount to anything. You're bad. You're worthless. You'll never be successful and stuff. And they wake up every morning with that attitude. And then we get the very sick people that they get stuck in sickness and they don't realize it. And when you put out all this negative thought and verbiage, what happens is you turn on bad DNA, like programs you shouldn't be running right now, and then you'll turn off programs you should be running. You'll shut down many things, and you'll do a lot of damage. And then you resonate that damage and energy to others. It's so important with thought, especially health. I get a lot of the people that are chronically ill, as you know, and when I see them, a lot of times I think I'm just going to read their DNA and tell them what vitamin to take or what other nutrient to take or what food to eat, what's best for them. And they're so bad off. I've got to start them at the beginning because, you know, everything that comes out of their mouth, they claim it like my Lyme disease, my this disease, my chronic fatigue. The smart meter is going to kill me. So every you know, they have the smart meter in their house and their thought every day is the smart meter is going to kill them. And they think that I'm going to come in and start on the nutrition end of healing their DNA. And I actually go in through their thought process, their spirituality. And some of them, when I go through that route, I don't even have to work the food and nutrition route because they're already eating good or they start choosing to eat better once they start healing spiritually. But DNA is, you know, frequency. Your thought is a frequency pattern. And if you have bad thought, you're going to have this low vibrational frequency just go in and damage your heart chakra, damage everything in your body. You're going to shut things down. I did it myself for many years and didn't realize it.
I came from a very negative, infused family in many ways, and you know, I didn't see it at the time, of course, but you know, the cup is half empty instead of the cup is half full type of scenario.
Yeah.
But do you see that a lot too, Sean, in the clients that you work with?
Oh yeah.
That negative thinking. But it was interesting what you said about how you were in this other realm and then you came back into, you know, this one, and you pick up all this programming that's very negative, like either from a TV or from it's out there in the collective, I guess. And it's people have to become aware enough to overcome that. or actually just being aware of it is a big step right there, because you can't transmute something you're not aware of. So I guess awareness is the first step. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly. I love how you guys put that. And yeah, it's like a creeping in limitation barrier of a bunch of different reasons for it, of course. But yeah, it's like people can't. I mean, so many of the problems in the world stem from that everyone has like a programming cage or limitation or barriers or ego boundaries or these things that box us into, oh, you're just this life, you're just this body, you are your job, what these people have told you, every one of these programs that brought you into life. You're able to somehow project that in front of you and visualize it, that timeline, and be able to see the imprints of negative things in color that represent like the daydreamed allowance of flow of your higher wisdom. And you can bring reactivity to the color to see if it changes as you give it love, or what it needs to bring it wholeness and the programming to release, or whatever. If it's a person that's imprinting on the person, whether mother, father, the school, or bullies and all that, in the negative, dark, or blackish, brown, whatever color you want to use in that, feeling that pressure in the heart, because like people aren't able to see that they're in prison. And there's like an interesting concept for why all these things are happening in the world, all these negative things. Some people need to see the prison thing right in front of them. You need to see the bars, the lines in the sky, the silencing of their voice, or like all these things that as soon as they can come to awareness that there's these bad things happen in the world, it will bring them to the state to take their power back, to like challenge being in the cage, take their energy taken, or being programmed to be someone that they're not meant to be. And then who are they meant to be? And that's something that they need to find, but they need to figure out how to, like, mostly it's like going into your heart, going inward, feeling deeply into what makes you happy. What is your high state of being? Because in your originality, what is that described as? Love, peace, joy, ever enfoldment, high energy, the universe behind you, something, you doing what you love, and then love following you. But yeah, so it's like, how do we get out of these metaphorical or energetic or genetic cages or blocks, or there's so many words. I'd love to hear Sterling's opinion on the different ways that she describes the blocks.
Yeah, well, there are a few, DNA SNPs that actually, SNP stands for singular nucleotide polymorphisms, can, mold our personality. And we have yin and yang genes, and there's one catecholamine methyltransferase, and there's two particular SNPs that when you're totally cut off in that, you hold on to a little too much dopamine, epi, norepi. So, you're born with this higher vibration out of the chute. That's about 6% of the population. And then there's another gene that goes along with it, and it's then at least 1% where they're really, right when they're born, they're some of the highest vibrational people on this planet. And that's me. I'm that 1%. And then you've got people that are totally opposite, that they're not blocked off on that enzyme. So they break down that energetic, that happy stuff, that dopamine, epi, norepi. And when they're confronted with a lot of negative stuff, they can stay stuck in it more too, because they're already born into a lower vibrational frequency. And they're like, oh, Debbie Downers all the time, and then your other ones that are totally opposite from them, that's me. When we get sick, we go into, like, instead of their depression and their, oh, always me, I should just die, drop off the face of the earth, we're the ones that go into panic attacks when the bad energies try to attach, and, the anxiety and the panic and stuff, where the other ones lay in bed and just want to fester away. You know, and then you've got the people in the middle where they're perfectly balanced on those yin and yang genes, and you know, they use a little of the right brain and the left brain and stuff. So, you know, it's all about balance, and we can manipulate all that just with thought, just with good sleep patterns and proper nutrition for both sides of that spectrum. And it's so important to know that, you know, when we get into one of these bodies and stuff, we have to learn how to operate its functions too. And it's a big operating system, and many of us aren't taught to operate it. We're taught to shut it down. We're taught to go take the psych drugs to numb the mind, or the fluoridated toothpaste to numb everything and calcify, you know, our third eye. And I think people are coming out of that now, and that's why you're seeing a lot of what you're seeing now, because all these people now are using all this telepathy all together, believe it or not, around the planet. And you know, a lot more people are seeing through the lies now, and I think that's kind of why they're trying to do this and, you know, the other things right now, because they don't want this happening. You know, if we actually have minds of our own again and realize we're more powerful than we know.
Well, they dumbed us down to think
they don't want us to know how powerful we are
and be all limited and everything like that. Definitely, that's boy, I can see that. I wish I could have seen it a lot earlier in my life.
I wish I could have. You know, I was born awake, but then I shut it down, and you know, you kind of get scared sometimes. I'm sure you, Gail, and you, Sean, can also agree with that. You go through this. I heard you talking about how you kind of went in that void for a minute, but you get to this point where you know you're a little different. You can see things that others can't see, and you try to shut it down. You might go, you know, when I was younger, it was like going out partying, drinking, you know, ignoring it, you know, just trying to say, okay, all right, I'm not seeing those big orbs, white orbs fly through the room, or those big golden orbs, or those blue orbs fly through the room, or anything else. Because, you know, I mean, the world looks at you like, oh, God, you're crazy and stuff, you know. But actually, when I finally, you said, you know what, I'm tired of hiding this. And I started getting them on film and camera, actual video too. You know, people can't say, well, she's just seeing them and making them up. She's just making this up in her head now. But you know, once you start to embrace those good energies that have been coming to you and learn how to get rid of the bad energies, you go on so many higher planes of consciousness, you know, and you can go to those places in dreams, and then wake up the next night. You might not even remember the dreams, but you have all this new thought in your head on how to, you know, empower people, how to try to fix what's going on here on Gaia, you know. So,
Sean, I got a question for you. If you don't recall your dreams very much at all, does that mean that you haven't raised your vibration enough? Is that what that means, or does it not have anything to do with that, or what? Do you know what that has anything to do with? I've been trying to figure that one out for
it has
a long
little
time.
to do with health too, by the way.
But I consider myself very healthy, and I have real issues trying to remember dreams.
Yeah, well, none of us are 100%. Everything starts kind of breaking down little by little. You have
I'm certainly old enough to have a lot broken down.
choline is very, very important for the brain, but you have to have things in line for choline to break down for dreams. Also, GABA aminobutyric acid helps you dream. And if you're not taking in enough glutamate to break it down into GABA, then you're in trouble. And then sometimes you can be taking in the glutamate but not be able to break it down into GABA, because you need zinc, B6, P5P, magnesium, lysine to break down glutamate into GABA. You get glutamate from things like bone broths and stuff.
Okay. Well, I take quite a few supplements, and I'm beginning to think that it goes beyond just
Oh yeah,
biological
it can be
supplementation.
it can be spiritual too. You know, I've learned that myself in my journeys, having three entities take it off of me. I felt them peeling and ripping off of me when they were being removed off of me, and it was probably 80% of my problems. So sometimes it can indeed be that. And you know, there's a lot of things. You know, doing too much THC can make you totally stop dreaming. You know, there's the physical and there is the spiritual center of those things.
What's your take on that, Sean?
Sure. Everyone's got a different thing. I do dream healings of different types for people that are not remembering their dreams is the most problem. Even if they're not remembering, they're usually dreaming in some way. And even when they're awake, they're dreaming because it's like this extension of yourself, dreaming body operating system that goes into multiple realms and does missions.
Like I can see things more in meditation than I recall from my dreams. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's great then. You could probably very easily go into the dream site while you're awake and then also astral vision and other stuff. But let's see. Yeah, I'd be able to answer that more if I'd may I tune into your specific things for dreaming stuff, because it's kind of a long list of what people could do for their dreaming body specifically. Okay. So main things, yeah, your nutrition's pretty good. Your detoxing's pretty good. Most of the anchor, small intestines, liver. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And that's mostly spiritual level. About 93% is spirit. And then that goes back. And then I'd ask, like, when did that happen on the timeline? When did you start losing your dreams? And by the way, does anyone notice there was a drop in dreaming as soon as the quarantine thing started happening?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Big. I mean, there was a lot going on. It was kind of like a big quarantining, multidimensionally, macroly in universes, shrinking problems down to this very resilient solar system that takes care of most of the karma in the multiverse. And so like macro level quarantine, and then that going into invading, but like a controlled invasion, because it's like a compression of a bigger problem, and then eventually it resolving in us becoming extremely resilient. And we're apparently doing this thing where we're humans are like there's a lot of ways to describe us. There's so many layers, but we're a huge DNA library, supercomputer, advanced genetic technology of the combination of most species that exists into the super hybrid of amazing potential, but also like the possible antidote for all evil, and this thing where light and dark eventually stops fighting and comes together in peace in like a representation of our universal body. And it's like this thing where we're trying to be fully into our light, but very resilient in that, to where we could be in complete hell and be shining our light. And then so Earth is like, oh, resilience more important than you being able to only temporarily maintain your light, strongly maintain your light, and then that eventually affecting the rest of the universe quite a lot. But yeah. So spirit, and then I'd ask, going back in time, when it started, the imprint, something to do with age 9. Yeah. Okay, so having to do with who you are, and I'm not gonna say everything, but Earth. Okay, so you're integrating at age 9 your spiritual contracts of who you are, like going out of age 7 into age 9. There's the ending of the age innocence of like your guides will hold up this huge weight for you, and then they start giving it to you. At age 9, it kind of just like all goes. And then you have all these things that visit you at once, take note of you, all these responsibilities come back to you. So you're taking up connective responsibility, going to the dream worlds, as a bunch of things. You're actually training eclectically to be good at so many things. What are you best at? Downloading dream knowledge. So you could essentially make it so that you program a dreaming body to, oh, okay, go to all the libraries and learn speed reading and learn how to download books dream-wise into my brain. And then you try to monitor that so that it's not impeded in any way. And then you start waking up with larger amounts of knowledge. And then you can increase that over time, and especially if you're strategic with the books you read, and they increase that ability too. And you could probably read multiple books at once.
That's fascinating, because that is a request that I've made spiritually many times from a long time ago, to increase my knowledge and wisdom.
You're doing it. I'd say the main. I mean, you're gonna have it doing no matter what, because you have resilience a certain amount in it. I'd say the main block is, so it's downloading into your super consciousness, or whatever you want to call that, in the heart, and then you successfully made it so that it's downloading fully into the subconscious. Good job. A lot of people I see have a lot of blockages in all of it, but so it's the conscious to the subconscious. That's the main block, and that's limited to one. So definitely, if you can somehow bring everything that's here into the heart, and there's a lot of attachments and things above the head, like having to do with the world, spiritual entourage, the left brain. There's even like negative programs permeated around the world to get people in this like left brain prison thing. And if you can get out of that by like stimulating them to be in perfect coherence, as well as you can do like holds, you can do this tapping thing, or like pulling out of negative energy, or like still points on the back of your head to like bring it to where it's so still, all the negative energy just off. Like poof, like not like an explosion, but and then you're trying to slowly bring your center point of consciousness. You will feel it. It will feel like there's like these pulling sensations trying to get your center point of consciousness in your head, and you want to slowly just like let it drift on down the throat into the heart, and feel like it's getting heavier and heavier, and it's like just ripping through these spider webs that are trying to get it back in the head, which is like mostly the ego and the mind. You can, if it's chatty, if the mind's chatty, it's like wanting attention. It's usually overwhelmed. So you give it love, and you can even hug yourself. Well, it's kind of hard to do it. So, but like you can go back and forth and hug yourself like this too, and you hug your ego, and you give it everything it needs in wholeness, completeness. Ask it kindly to let go of everything that is not it, in like the false identity ego and stuff, and then come to merging process, like the ego death, but it doesn't really die. The ego never dies, but the self-defeating programs will die that it's holding on to, so that it goes into merging with you, and you feel like you're one with everything, and there's no more separation and identity of the air you breathe and the objects around you. It's all light, it's all you, kind of thing.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah,
good information.
Awesome. Yeah.
I wrote those down. Any supplements I can find that can improve the body, I'm just go for that. Yeah. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, those are great supplements. That's a whole different kind of supplements.
So what have you been working on, Sterling, in recent things that have inspired you in genetic programming?
Well,
take it to new.
Well, yeah. When I first started in this, it was just reading people's DNA, on a physical level and stuff. And, Gail's seen me, evolve in the past year or two, where I'm now like I'm putting people on a healing spiritual level, because if you can eat all this good food you want, everything, you are not healed spiritually, you're going to fester. Like we were just talking about, I was telling you the physical things that help you dream. There's also a spiritual, and I think it's a much larger percentage. Like when I had some entities removed off of me, you remember me calling you up and telling you how good I felt right after. I mean, I felt them burning, itching, pringling, and just ripping off of me. And that's kind of when I started bringing it to another level and said, I've got to help these people with, all these negative energies on them there. And then I bring them to people like you, Sean. I suggest they go to people like you, a lot of them, to have these entities removed, these negative energies removed off of them, and to teach them a better thought process. And some of those people, like I said, I don't have to look at their DNA testing and stuff after, because some of them have completely healed all the way, just going down that energetic path. And so I know with myself too, I gave up television a few years ago. I only let myself listen to frequency music in my home. I might listen to something on the radio in the car every now and then, but it's mainly frequency. I watch some of my YouTubers or, other bloggers, and that's kind of where I get my media and information from. And that is a very healing aspect, because like you said, when you're in this matrix of watching the TV all the time, it's just the insanity there, especially when you've been away from television for a long time. I know I have a Roku stick, and I stream Roku, I stream YouTube on it and watch my subscribers. And now they'll automatically put on Lester Holt from NBC after, and I'm like rushing to get to the remote to hurry up and turn it off, because I can see that man doesn't even look, I don't feel human in him. I feel like negative ET coming out of him, like this negative ET. Those are the, these news anchors and stuff. There's this, like they've got these negative energies, ETs, just controlling them and running them. And you can feel the energy through the television. I mean, that's so damaging. But to teach people their thought process, waking up in the morning when they have those bad thoughts, and I'll do it. Sometimes if I start thinking negative right when I wake up in the morning, I'm not even out of bed yet, I stop everything. And sometimes I'll yell out, I'm healing, I'm loved, it's going to be a beautiful day. And I'll go into a meditation, because I don't want to start my day on these old computer programs in my, up in my body here. I want to trash them. I want to throw them in the trash bin. I want to remove them and run these positive, uplifting, vibrational programs. And that helps heal DNA. Your bad thought is very damaging to your DNA.
I feel like at times, though, that we are literally psychically attacked.
Yeah.
And it's when a bunch of negative things start happening to you. It's like one thing after another goes, damn, why is this?
Yeah, stop what you're doing, get home, cleanse, protect yourself. Wouldn't you say that, Sean? Do a lot of protection and stuff. Stop what you're doing. It's telling you kind of don't go in that direction when you see all these negative forces coming at you, right?
Otherwise it starts encroaching and taking over and getting you to forget about everything that would empower you or give you love, or like remember that everything external to you is you, and then it starts making enemies of everything external, even though the main enemy that's ever been is our own ego when it's overwhelmed with incredible amounts of programs. What would you guys do? What have you guys developed methods for dumping large amounts of bloatware that you found imprinted on you, and it's just like, what do I do with this?
Get rid of it. Yeah, get rid of it, cleanse it, and switch it out with good things. And right now, like Gail was talking about, all that, we've got a lot of negative things. I think bringing up the negative in us, and we're at a point right now, do we keep it and hold on to it, or do we trash it, get rid of it, and trade it for something more beautiful? Because we have been feeling like this heaviness and this silent, dead, dark heaviness in the air lately, with this number 2 plan, coming, their number 2 wave plan coming. And you got to cleanse all that. And I actually have to hear that word all the time because of what I do for a living. We know the Frankenvirus. I always have to hear that word all the time. So at the end of,
that's a good one,
so at the end of, well, we don't want to say it on the show.
I know.
At the end of the day, I cleanse that out of me. I remove it. I don't allow it to go to sleep with me at night. I don't allow it around me, because they have intentionally attached negative vibration, negative frequency to.
And they have it on every time you go anywhere on the internet, practically, it pops up right in front of your face.
It pops up everywhere. So, I mean, even if you're not doing what I'm doing, you're going to see it probably a couple hundred times a day, anytime you get on the web or you turn on your TV or the radio, right?
I think one of the most important things for people, at least it was for me, so, and I usually can only share from my perspective, and that is, first of all, you have to be able to start recognizing these things and knowing and have a knowing about them before you can even think about eliminating them. Personally, one of the ways that I've done that I've felt like I've had a great deal of success with is the violet flame.
Oh yeah, same
in meditation. Yeah, in meditation, and seeing the violet flame and having it consume me and my aura and everything around me, and it seems to dissipate all that. And and then I started these using some of these, what do you call them, decrees that El Morbe, an ascended master, put together about the tube of light, for example, protecting yourself with, surrounded by the tube of light, and that's what's been working for me pretty much more than anything, and a little help from my friends. That are even more psychically gifted than I am at this point in time. I'm still trying to discover mine, what my abilities are. We all, I know we are all told that we're very powerful and we have all these abilities and so on and so forth. But at the same time, we go, okay, what's mine?
Well, one of yours, I'll let you know right now, Gail, is getting all these light workers out and interviewed. And having one of the first shows like that on YouTube where you're interviewing all these different light workers. You're bringing more people together to where they can have a library of resources of who to contact, who they resonate with, what they need at the time.
Well, it's funny. I feel like there's this cohesion that's starting to happen with true, real light workers.
Yeah, when you say that, Sean, about her, is that's one of her job she's good at here, is bringing all these light workers together?
Absolutely. Community, unity, love, a lot of heart-based abilities. Let me kind of give you a really good one. If I can tune into this, I'm trying to translate it exactly. Ooh, wait, I'm just making sure. Okay. Okay, so I like tuning to blueprints that an individual has, that they're a natural genius at, that they are born incredibly good at, and the only thing that would be blocking them is their own doubt and not knowing that they're good at it.
I know I have that. I'm working on that.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
So keep going into that and flowing and having intuition, because a lot of those things you are pulled towards or will be things you're good at. One as a specific really good one that if you took to a really large degree of focus, you do a lot around the planet, you'd be able to trade a lot of abilities for it, because it's very sought after what you have. Not like you have to give it up or anything, you can make copies of it and train people, and also just perform the action for them as a trade, and you can just provide this all over the place, and you have a version of yourself that learned this at a 10 out of 10 of what the earth needs to learn it at, and she's not even as good at it as you, which is why she asked you to come, and then she's And then there's more behind this. It's not just this reason. Healing. So like healing energetic plumbing, energetic circuitry through the body, the earth, the system, the air, the dream worlds, all these things, mostly going into like you're good at doing this in a lot of ways, but like the best thing, the peak thing that if you trade, you find a lot of people will want this thing that you have in commodity is it's like work, potential energy, kinetic force. Besides like all these different types of categories of energy that we call, when somebody has the strength to do things, the endurance, the ability to be productive, to have abundance amount of energy, like throughout the day, to be able, like if you had, you do, but if other people had this, then they would be able to have an infinite amount of energy, and especially if you work on this fully into yourself, because this really spiritually older than, I'm not really allowed to say how old it is, honestly, but like older than the planet, definitely older than the galaxy, maybe older than the universe, maybe even more. Who knows? I'm not able to tell you. I can, but not on public.
Okay.
Because camouflage. But so you could just make an operating system meditation of seeing the most pure energetic circuitry, immense output, accumulation, storage, all these storage places you have for this type of energy to do work, kinetic force, potential energy. It's a lot of solar plexus stuff. You can bring it to its optimal state of health very quickly throughout the day, and you can make this a meditation. You get a bunch of energy, especially if you see and envision the types of flows of energy, like currents coming up from the earth, grounding down to the earth, imploding, like you're bringing energy that wants to be a part of you in love, in oneness, internally, as well as exploding outward and compressing that in your field. Mitochondrial, like stimulation of love for all your mitochondria, all these different little flows and visualizations of how energy and motion should be distributed throughout your body and stored, especially the Dantian stuff, compressing all that energy into the Dantian and making a pearl, and making that pearl slowly bigger. The bigger it gets, the more impact you have, the more force. You can start doing telekinesis, all that stuff.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's fun because some of what you said is actually a bit of a part of a meditation that I do with energy down to Gaia and up to source. And
you're already doing that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and then the other thing that I do in meditation is I use the seven flame meditation with the violet flame or so on. But anyway, before I end it, what I do is I tell the beings that are with me at that time that, like, we're going to go fly around the planet, and we're going to spread the violet flame over the whole planet.
That's good.
And I actually visualize it. I see us in the air flying around the planet and putting the violet flame out there and trying to dissolve as much.
You're an expert in this, so all you need to do is get rid of all those wounds of doubt you in the heart from the timeline of it. This doesn't work. Oh, I'm getting sick. Oh, all those wounds. And like, oh yeah, it's working intensely, and you feel flared up in love and excitement. And if you use music, all these tools, you can work all together and make this amazing equation. As long as you have trust and faith in your true self, it will shine out.
That's the problem. I have a lot of doubt programs that run, and
Get rid of them.
I'm trying to eliminate them.
Get
I
rid
am
of them.
eliminating them. I'm not trying.
You will. You are getting rid of them. They're going away. Trash them off.
Embrace them in a hug, and like give them size and scale. When you feel into any negative emotion on the dashboard and you're wanting to release it, give it size and scale. breathe slowly, deeply, inhale into it, give it love, there's a bunch of things it may need a specific, but like focus on the center. You can either like, I use I boiled most of the methods I find people using is either an art of letting go or an art of transmutation. And you can transmute anything that comes at you, any negative thing, into a positive. Like fear, you can transform into bravery or the opposite of what it wants, or love, or anger into like righteous action and ability to do work, and like, oh, I gotta go out and do stuff. And
I like the concept of transmutation. I really do.
And that's the violent flame that you're doing. Some powerful going down the rabbit hole of Saint Germain and the different masters and the different types of flames and colors and the programming of how light can program our DNA, and the collectives that have used it. And I like using all the different ones. I'm kind of like adding on and seeing.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. There's all 7 flames, and I've been doing the last one. Well, first I started with the violet flame, and now I moved to the illumination flame, which has the ascended masters and the flame and a number of them there, and wisdom and getting into the mind of God kind of thing, and it's really cool. I've just been. It's like if I don't do it in the morning, then I miss it. I try to get it in later, but I've been having very good experiences with that. I really have.
Nice, yeah, and like the masters are just people that got really good at it, and so like we can go into where we created ourselves. And like there's this emerald flame that's used by like Mother Mary and like Cathars and some other people that it's like this emerald green flame that like just purifies the environment. I like that comes from the heart and a lot of other thing. And so there's a lot of the same like chakra kind of spectrum overlays, but you can turn them on and try to get them to a resilience versus whatever it's dealing with, to where it stays up and stays on. Oh, I want to ask you before I forget, have you guys been noticing there's like this thing where every night when we go to sleep and then wake up the next morning, it's like we're imprinted with a whole bunch of negative programs and like from the dream world that is like a challenge for like us to overcome in the morning? Or
especially the last few days for me, I really have. Yeah.
What's your perspectives on that?
Well, I was talking to Sterling just the other day about, I think the demons are out in full force.
They are. Protect yourself.
The negative, just, it's like, why is all this crap happening? And
it's all coming from the surface. Gaia is purging, I believe. I believe Gaia is purging all this crap so we can move on to something better.
So much needs to be transmuted.
Yeah, it's having to come into the light. I know a lot of light workers, they're like, oh, and they're getting upset because people are seeing all this darkness come out, and they're like, you guys stop sharing this. And I asked a few of them, and I said, how do you think that we get rid of it? We have to identify it to remove it off of this planet, out of this universe.
You have to put it in the light. It has to be exposed.
You got to bring it into the light to dissolve it, to transmute it. So right now we all ask for this awakening. We've been asking for it for many years, and the movement got so large that so many collectively said, let's get rid of all this oligarchy, this horrible system, these people that have been enslaving this planet. And now here it is, guys. It's here. So we do have to protect ourselves from it, because we're being hit hard. And years ago, I was being told, even us awake are going to have trauma from this. So imagine the people when they start waking up, that we took years to develop an awakening and seeing things. It's going to traumatize us. Imagine what it's going to happen to them. And that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing fighting in the streets. I don't want to use that R word, the RIOTS, and on all the burnings and stuff. Those are people, they didn't they're waking up to all this. There's madness. There's so many lies in the world, and that's how they're acting out now. And so there's a lot of negative vibration just flying at us. And it is coming in through our dreams through at night that we're waking up to it. And so I like to, when I go to bed, I like to put golden light around me. I like to surround my house with golden light as well. Sometimes I do some sage, lemongrass, some charged crystal water around everything, pray, meditate, whatever I have to do, because there is a lot of nasty stuff coming around us right now. And we've asked for it, though, because we want it out of here. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you touched on a lot there. So I guess and I didn't answer your question before about like the dreams. I was reading that in the Aurora Borealis, there's like a whole bunch of ancestral dream worlds that are overlaid on top of each other that are flowing throughout the lights. You have a presence in there that when you first came to this planet, it goes into you making multiple versions of yourself for multiple jobs, and then one going into protection of a dream world, a dream place of power that has to do with your soul family and a soul group that you immigrated with, and then them setting up a big home base. Apparently, since the
Frankenvirus.
Yeah, the Frankenvirus, the zombie virus, whatever.
There you go.
Has come in. There's again that big quarantine, which is essentially forcing all these predators into one place, like acting up in a corner in the cage, and they're getting very violent.
Yeah.
The purpose of evil that I found, there's a bunch, but it's mostly like a condensing of macrocosmic evil into one place. So like as it like goes into one person physically on the planet, that's like big evil, like a dragon for a knight to be bravely programmed to the point where they become strong enough to take down the negative dragon of that. It is compressing larger amounts of problems throughout the multiverse down into one place, which ultimately also makes this place resilient. So there's a lot of, and like it would be worse if all this evil was just all around instead of being compressed into one place, essentially, is there that purpose. But I've also noticed a bunch of zombies, whether they be real or spiritually made, or most of the time I see it as like somebody's dreaming body that was captured and then turned into a zombie, and then it's used as an army to like invade people's dream worlds. And so like I've been seeing a lot of that coming out with the virus, which is interesting with virus things. And it has to do with the parasite that's stealing a bunch of people's energy, making fear, and then using all that energy and authority to create like a thing that makes it perpetuate and stay in the reality, changing our existence to change the timeline to what they negatively prefer, instead of us coming together and transmuting it all, which takes a lot of love. People now need immunity, resilience, something to resolve stress, safety, and defense, because really strongly now, and they're being forced to focus on that greatly right now to be able to maintain themselves as well as make the timeline way better, which is ultimately the base we need to stand off of anyway. And so like your dream world is attempting to be invaded, and a lot of your energy is going towards maintaining that dream world. And because it's like you're invaded by negative spirits and zombies, it's not exactly the best thing to remember. Mm-hmm. So you can
block it out.
Yeah. So right. You have your version of yourself that's like a all well-round dream existing being. That is also like part of a collective that is shielding the whole dream world. And then it's asking versions of you that is a you, but like an older version. And so it's asking for ones that are awake enough to come help it. And then you're going and you're clearing up the dream world. It's mostly going into quarantining it from the invader, which is another dream world. Let's see, where is that coming from? Okay, yeah, of course. So there's like a big negative portal that keeps trying to be attempted to be opened up into multiple things. I don't really feel like exposing too much into it, but essentially it's around Israel, and it goes into like a big summoning of dark entities, and then
Why does that not surprise me?
it's based on a stolen big place of power that has a lot of earth authority, and and like, and it's not just one. It's like the parasite is trying to find places of power and then tap into them and then maintain them. Earth is like doing this chess move where if she can hire enough beings to free the place of power, it will actually move, and then they won't be able to harvest from it anymore, and then the authority lessens. But it's also like a quarantining a big predator. And the thing that like makes evil shrink as well as fulfill their purpose is getting evil things to fight each other. So like, be careful with that, of course, but like, if you can get them, because they want to maintain safety and accumulate energy, steal energy from things, and not have to go into drama right away. But if they're, doing their purpose, which is to resolve what they got going on evil until they enter a point where it stimulates them out of darkness to stop that behavior, because it's not creating great for them and it's insanity, then they will also change into the light, which is after they stop that point of attracting evil to them and all that, and they go like a lava lamp, the light and the dark spectrum of evolution. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if I covered everything, but yeah. So you, so how they're getting in your dream world, then you would, as an example of how to resolve this, because any type of way to get into a bubble of reality or a dream reality, dream world, they need authority from the beings in it to get in. And you've been, in fact, while we're talking about it, you're making go faster with your energy, and the DNA technology just amplifies everything in awareness. So a lot of it's been narrowed down. Okay, so a version of you. Okay. Interacting in a place of power near. Am I allowed to say this? Oh, no, I'm not. Okay. Well, it's a place of power near Israel. I'm not going to mention what it is. I can do it later. But like that, you're interacting with another version of you is interacting in spiritually, because you made more versions of yourself in all these chess games around the planet, and like set up to do things over time that you can then unite with those versions of yourself. And so if you're able to protect that place, and it's mostly into resilience, because it definitely is able to protect itself from the incursions, and you can make a big trap out of it. Like anything incurring into you, it's trying to program you, but it's also entering your game. So you have now the authority to program it, because it's pretending to be you, and then you can then initiate a big trap of healing wholeness that like brings into remedy to remember that it's not just this thing that like has to dominate and be in power and maintain its control. It's like it goes back to you ultimately in source. So it needs to be shine that truth. Also, I noticed with another topic that I didn't mention before that you went into with the dopamine, norepinephrine, the serotonin programs of the genes. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Barely anyone talks about those. I guess if somebody wants to turn on their happiness more, a resounding theme that I've been able to find with what is the block, what is the programming key that unlocks it, it's mostly truth. And like understanding what truth is to you, what is being your truth, and like a bunch of things of what that spectrum is. You want to get to full 100% output in every action, interaction, or at least to the best of your ability. And being your true self, finding what you're here to do, and a pursuit of truth increases and releases a lot of these blocks on the genetics for those positive love emitting hormones. Hope that makes sense.
It makes absolute sense to
Yes,
me.
it does.
Very
much.
brilliant.
Yes.
Very brilliant.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you're and I'm gonna help you because I exposed it with the place in Israel. So to quarantine that version of yourself and make a big resilient trap so that anything that tries to harm it thinks twice, and then once that's shielded off, the authority to invade the dream home cuts off, and then you would be going there to quarantine, clear, heal, balance the place, and then once that's done, you might even dream about it, but and then you can you'll have, it's like using 70% of your dream energy, and then the rest of it is like going to an interaction with your entourage, which I think has to do with protecting you environmentally. Maybe like a bunch of neighborhood dramas that happen sometimes. So what do you guys do for shielding for the house? You said Sterling went into like protecting the bed and stuff. That's really important.
Yeah. Also, I use a device that emits a 7.83 hertz frequency around my house, 100 square foot radius. 100 foot radius. So also I have a rest shield that stays near my sleeping area too, to keep frequency from dropping into a negative zone. I actually have an obelisk too that I have right by my head at night, and a few good crystals as well. What do you do, Gail? You have a few things too to protect
I sleep.
your home, huh?
I sleep with crystals.
You do?
I mean, and like for example, pyramids.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I have several of those pyramids. I have pieces of.
Yeah, that's a healing one right there.
And I have little pyramids. That's all I have. I don't have any. I don't have a device like you have, but I.
You don't need all that. I mean, you just set.
And then I got I sage. I do sage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Really porn. You have a Schumann resonance device, you said? 7.8?
Yeah, I have a scalar home shield.
What is that called that you got that? Because
Kinrola, Fresh and Alive.
A while ago, I was like, it would be awesome if everyone had a Schumann resonance device.
Yeah,
it's
expensive though. It's expensive.
Yeah, I had to make a loan to get it. It was like $2,500. It's huge. It's huge. It's on freshandalive.com. Actually, I sell them now on my website.
Ken Rolla, I actually interviewed him a few years ago.
I like Ken Rolla.
He's awesome.
Yeah, very awake.
Check that out.
Yeah, definitely worth knowing. He does a lot. He has a lot of Fresh and Alive, and how to. He has the hockey puck, and he has that device that Sterling was talking about.
Yeah, I now sell his devices. I sell most of his stuff on my website now too.
I saw that on your website. I said,
because I love his.
I used to have two of those. Somehow they came up missing. But
oh, yours ended up missing?
Yeah, maybe they're helping somebody else. I don't know.
Hopefully,
like in customs.
Pardon?
UPS kind of thing.
No, I'm afraid somebody might have taken them with them, or I left them somewhere, one or the other way, one way or another. Either way, I hope if somebody has it, that it's
helping them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
A good way to do that. Yeah.
I have this larger one too. He has one that's about. Well, I can't see my hands. They're about this big. Okay, and that one I put it under the seat of my car.
Oh wow!
It's supposed to have a 10-foot radius.
The harmony pendant too, that I wear to protect myself. I set my intentions. You have yours too?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with these at all, Sean? Have you ever? Maybe we should tell them about
that's giving off a lot of energy. What?
Is it really?
Yeah. Ooh. So what's that called?
It's a harmony pendant. It actually protects you from negative energies. Actually, microwave radiation from cell phones. They've proven that it bounces off of you when you set this once a week.
I also got this, which is called the Golden Rose Flame.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, I just recently got that.
Wonderful design.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from Magenta Pixie. I
Oh,
mean, I
wow.
didn't get it from her.
I read
but
her book on that. That's
the design.
that's
that's
Okay.
where I looked for a piece of jewelry with that design, and I found one, and it wasn't that expensive either. So
The
Send me
rose gold
some
flame.
information on that, because I'd like to try to get one. It's pretty. It looks like it brings
I
a
just
good
got it on
energy.
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever wanted to design your own?
That would
Yeah, I
be
think
good. I don't. No, I don't want to say.
But your
anything
higher
negative,
self has a good idea.
Yeah. I'll have to
Yeah,
talk to
ask
my
your higher self.
My lower self is saying, "Oh, you're not good at that."
Sleep with a little pen and a notepad next to you and an ink pen, and then
I've
see if
done
you
that
wake up
before.
one morning and you draw out a nice design. Say, hey, I'll
You know
make
what?
a painting out of that.
One of the things that I have to say, and sometimes I have complained about the fact that I don't seem to remember a lot of dreams. But one of the things that I can happily say is that I am not someone that has nightmares. If I'm encounter negative energies in my dream realm, apparently I manage to ward them off.
That's
get rid of
really
them or
good.
something.
I might have a nightmare about once every 1 to 3 years, and usually it's something that I'm either really getting super sick and I need to do something to protect my body, or I'm getting a warning on something that's coming that I need to help change from coming and arriving. But I'm like you. If when I do have my dreams, most of them are white, fluffy, funny dreams. And that's a good sign, though, when you have cool, good dreams all the time, I think, because if you're constantly negative, that means you probably have a lot, I would think. What do you think, Sean? A lot of bad energies bottled up in you if you're constantly having nightmares, right?
So what kind of nightmares do you have?
Oh, I'm not having them. I maybe only have them about once every 1 to 3 years. And usually I'm astral projecting somewhere and a tsunami's hitting an island or with people on it. So mine's usually a forewarning of something, and they happen every 1 to 3 years out of the blue.
Nice. Got the premonitions? How about
Yeah,
you,
I
Gail?
have the walls of water hitting me. Those are my premonitions. Whenever there's a bad water event coming, sometimes it's like it comes to me in my sleep.
Great ability. Love people that do that.
It doesn't happen all the time, thank goodness. So
visions will usually come to those that can have effect over them.
Yeah.
How about you, Gail? You said did you say you had nightmares, or you just
No,
can't
I
remember?
don't. I don't have nightmares. Okay. I've never had a nightmare that I can even recall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and I don't know why that is, but I don't. I just don't have them. Like I said, maybe I ward off any negative energy that comes my way in a dream.
Bug zapper? Your lightning energy?
What was that?
Bug zapper? You got a giant lightning shield
bad dreams
about the size of...
I just kind of have the attitude that I knock the crap out of them. No. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, you got stunned. You actually got a really big shield energetically that goes into your ability to make energetic circuits. You were able to make a giant lightning cage shield security system that kind of has many layers and kind of goes out to the ends of.
I've always felt protected. I feel protected. So it's not just my imagination then, from what you're telling me.
And you can amplify that. You can give a lot of energy to it. In fact, I will. You can add on to it. You can make like remedy process with Earth. She has a lot of good ideas to improve it, and you can trade with her in that. And it will expand as you grow. So like to go into more of the dream. So like hopefully you can possibly get your dreams back. I just did a big ceremony last night with the fire, and I didn't have dreams for a while, and I got my dreams back last night. So I'm like, yay!
Oh wow, that's
So
awesome.
if I can help, let's see. Yeah, you're with your neighborhood. A way to do that is reflect on everything external to you. Are you in the States?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so your energy cage goes to end of the states. You're protecting the state, and you're trading with it. And so you don't have to go all the way to the ends of the states, but like to where there's like a unity Game of Thrones type of thing you're doing with the higher selves of everyone around, into where you can increase the camouflage and let things not know about you, and you can put distractions and decoys to where things would keep away from you. There's a little bit of a big energy parasite somewhere around that is testing your fields, or not really actually able to get to you, but it is draining on you because it costs energy to protect yourself from it. The way to resolve this is see yourself as everyone, and start hugging yourself and feeling the internal reflection of everything external, including your every cell in your, well, you want to do this first by uniting every cell in your body, bringing it all to peace and oneness, and then going out to where you're seeing yourself as everything in your room, and uniting all the elementals and things that are holding space into that, and house property, then the different houses, then you go in the Game of Thrones unity. So all this is like unity, the harmony. You can also use the necklace as like a PowerPoint for that if you want, but because it is really good at helping that. Then you're wanting to feel the pressure that represents the disunity or the separation consciousness that is like a little wall around the heart. And you kind of feel into that wall as if it's yourself, give it what it needs, love and wholeness, until that becomes lighter. And that once the bliss comes in, it will show that you were successful, and then you can move on to the next step. You can even go into full like sight and other abilities, but this is like the base if you don't have everything, to where it works. And you maintain that bliss to a certain level past yourself. And if you're going able to go into faith and letting go of everything in separation consciousness, it's all held in the ego. Then you get a really good method of doing that in breath work, then you can get really fast at it and just make everything come into unity. And once everything in the neighborhood is in unity, because they're getting harvested too, they start compressing the problem down, and then it becomes less of a problem. And then I would say, like, I agree with Sterling that after that's the spiritual problems, then the emotional. I would say there was a wound. The biggest one is age 19. You've been healing a lot of your emotional body, and you can just focus back to like some points in time that may have blocked your dreams, maybe an experience, maybe it may have not even been a dream, but usually it is. If it has to do with dreams, it might be an environmental thing that blocked it off, or getting sick because of the gut. And the gut brain is like most of where the dreaming body is held, and that's why detox is so good. And clearing out, like Epsom salt flush clears out the small intestines, which you had most of the negative programs, and then the colonic klima enema does the large intestines.
I'd use coffee enemas as to help with that, but that doesn't get the small intestine.
Just look up saline flush, and it's essentially you just add Epsom salt to a certain amount to water, and then you take it through mouth, and then it just triggers everything to flush. You want to definitely get the right amount, because it's like, oh, too much salt. That's why the everything flushes. Yeah, emotions are good. Mental stuff usually goes along with emotions. Physical, yeah, it's just the flush from that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's mostly the small intestines. So definitely go in hard in the small intestines. You definitely cleared out most of the large intestines. Good job.
Well, thank you. I'm working on myself, and I think that's the thing that I try to encourage in other people, is to work on yourself, because you can't change anyone else. You can only change yourself. And when we do the inner work by, first of all, recognizing different programs that come up, different thoughts that come up, to recognize a negative thought when you see it, when you're thinking something negative about yourself. And I've gotten a much better handle on that than I used to have. And so I encourage others to do the same. And I try to help people through what I've learned by helping myself, if that makes any sense.
Sterling, what do you usually do for doubt? Like if someone, as an example, was to doubt that they could ever remember their dreams again?
Well, all right, so somebody's going to doubt something that they can never do it again. I would have to remove that negative. That's a negative blockage, a negative programming. Remove it, get rid of it, flush it. Put on your big girl britches, big boy britches. Stop with that programming. Got to get rid of it.
Stop telling yourself that you can't remember your dreams, right?
Yeah, because that's what Gail, you hear me repeat this all the time with my clients. They get so stuck on they call their disease theirs, like they own it and claim it, and it's like, for instance, everything's Lyme disease, everything, blame it all, everything's this gene, this defective gene, everything's the smart meter, everything's the 5G, everything's the GMO, the glyphosate, and you will set your cells up for serious damage, very serious damage. And your thought can be radioactive, just as deadly as radiation coming at you.
I agree.
So, if you keep on telling yourself, I will, I can, you will. I was actually having some trouble dreaming for a while and stuff. And I went and that's when I started putting my obelisk right next to my head. And guess what? It started helping me dream. So some of mine was like emotional, spiritual, probably, that was preventing me from dreaming.
I've been dreaming a little bit more than I've been remembering a little more than
and sometimes we're gonna just get bits and pieces, and that's all we need for some reason. Sometimes I think, but the really important ones, you want to remember those dreams, because dreams are sometimes powerful messages to you, things that are going good or things that you need to fix or things that they're forewarning you on that you've got to help out with to prevent, stop, or make something good happen. So I think it's really, really important.
I think more and more of our psychic experiences, are psionic, whatever it's the best word terminology is, it's starting. It's starting to bubble up to the surface.
Yeah,
a little here, a little there, and I really feel that it's happening.
You see a lot more light workers coming out, and they're coming out of their closets too. A lot of people.
They're connecting. They're connecting.
Yeah, they're connecting, because a lot of people for many years stayed hidden because they kind of thought, hey, we're told this is not normal. Because they don't.
Who can you talk to about some of these things?
Yeah, and you still have the people like that. I have many family that they're not like me. And
my brother going like this to me to somebody else when I'm standing right there. What, you think I can't see that?
I don't want to be programmed like you did. So you can roll all you want. I do not want to be programmed like you. That's some bad programming you have. Okay. That's all I tell them, because it's their problem, not yours.
Time ago, but
I know. I have the same. I think we all do. We have those family members.
It's a black sheep of the family,
When we wake up, but guess what? Who are they all running to and asking the questions now? Because they're starting to see things. Veils are starting to be lifted, right? They're coming to us now, saying, okay, well, maybe you were right. I'm seeing this now. Like my son came to me and he said, "Mom, I really do think this is a planned image. I don't want to put them together."
So smart.
Yeah, yeah, I know. He came to me and he said that. He said, I'm starting to see what you're seeing. And I said, you got it, kid. So more and more people are seeing now, but now they're coming to people like us and saying, wow, you guys are right. And I think that, we, for what's coming, we're going to be the teachers for people.
That's why I really feel that's definitely true. And
Yeah.
people like Sean are going to be very much in need. And we too, us too, for the most part, but we're all here to
we're going to be the
help
teachers and the healers and the people that get people the help they need. And I think that's what your show is going to do, is because you're taking all the light workers and starting to interview them, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love doing that too, because I learn things, and if it's something that helps people, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Because energy and frequency, that's going to be the main way of healing. You know,
energy healing.
Energy, frequency, thought, getting vibration on a quantum physics, level of things. That's going to be the way many heal. And they never wanted you to know this, because guess what? There wouldn't be any pharmaceutical companies around.
Yeah, they shut everybody down. I never forget.
There'd be a couple of ERs for car accidents and ruptured appendix and stitches and broken legs. That's it.
I tell you, some of the things that I saw when I used to work in hospitals as a nutritionist. When I saw the list of drugs that they would have some older person on, it's 2 pages. I'm going, oh my God! And then they have the people convinced that they have to have it.
Yeah, they have to.
They'll be dead if they don't take it. Kind of thing. And then the chemotherapy, I saw them kill so many people, it wasn't even funny. And it's really hard to see people doctors who are supposed to be healers, programming people and telling them, well, you got 6 months to live, better get your stuff in order. Instead of saying, well, we're going to really need to boost your immune system. You need to think about doing this, that, or the other thing, something that's actually really going to heal
or
them.
Hey, I can't help you. Here's the Truth About Cancer series. Go watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're not going to hear their ego. You're not going to hear that.
All business
and ego.
Bottom line, it's all about the money.
All about the money.
All these people that are asleep, like what is it? Like if we think symbolically, because it's like also a representation in our inner universe and how we can grow within ourselves in our percentage wise of how awake we are cellularly, energetically, like lucidity, truth, and like the people that remain asleep, that hit the snooze button, they have lack of energy, they're in pain, they want to rejuvenate, they want to keep going into that state. So they're mostly overflowing with pain, and I've had to keep my train my ego to not get upset with people that are in that state, because they could not handle the information, and the ego boundaries are keeping them from accepting it, because it would cause chaos in their existing reality. Not like they couldn't survive or anything, but the ego believes that it could even bring them to where they would not want to live anymore. So a lot of the times people that wake up when they're not ready for it, they want to kill themselves. Like if they like open their veils to where they could see the other worlds, it'd mostly be like a bunch of things taking advantage of that and then abusing their by putting fear things into their mind and emotionally overloading them. So it's awakening is to the people that are strong enough in their foundations, their structure, to be where they can handle it. The universe tries to keep things out of our perception that we can't handle yet. So if we want more people to awaken, which awaken energy, great thing to go in. There's great place of power. You're great at place of power. Even if you don't know it, you could, as you release that doubt, you're anything energetic circuitry, plumbing, all that energetic structures, making an energetic house overlaid, amplifying, making whole worlds and energetic dream worlds you can make as you daydream it, you specifically, but like anyone if they go into it, but you're really good at it. And so we can create those things we need, those energetic circuitries for a device that like helps wake people up or brings them to enough immunity, resilience, ability to release stress and be feeling safe and have enough defense to the point where they can go out of their comfort zone, because most people just want to sit in their safe space and not have other opinions come in or reality bubbles or any other type of energy. And then it's because like empathically they're overloaded or whatever, and they have too much pain to deal with other people's pain. So if they're somehow able to release that, then their plate opens up and they just like go to the buffet and like, oh, I have a little bit of this truth movement over here. And I was like, here, I wonder what's this about it. I've been hearing about this, but I've been avoiding it. I thought it was mind control, all that.
Yeah, that's funny because you could go to all the different areas. You know, you can go into healthcare, you could go into the justice system, you could go into education system, you could go to all those areas and say, what little truth can I pick out of here that I can deal with now? And obviously changes need to be made in all of them, because they, you know, healthcare is not about health, and justice is not about,
and right now we're seeing,
and so on and so forth.
And right now we're seeing up is down, yes is no, left is right, the truth is lie, inside is out. And
exactly.
all of us awake, we're sitting back here and we're like, you know, sometimes it gets frustrating when you're watching this and because you're like, you want to hit yourself in the head and say, I can't believe that they're believing this stuff. You know,
exactly.
You see that yes is no and the truth is a lie right now. Up is down.
Yeah, you have to keep from getting too annoyed with them and going, will you wake the fuck up?
Yeah, so I understand what he's talking about, having to restrain that ego and stuff, because sometimes I don't restrain it and I blow up.
I lose it sometimes too.
It brings you to wisdom, and you know,
yeah.
People need to wake up, and it's otherwise a lot more suffering happens.
Well, we're seeing it right
now.
What
scares me. I want everybody to
the lie that's being put out there right now. We're seeing it. People believe this stuff.
Ignorance does not create bliss. It is all
kills.
but temporary and a distraction.
Ignorance isn't bliss; it can kill. You know?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Whoops! I just lost both my ears here. Hang on. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been. I guess like what would we boil down to? Like, like people aren't awakening fast enough. That's mostly on their thing, their pain, and whatever the way they can release that. And then there's the dark chess move, which is abusing that. And then it's mostly through mind control and the media, and TV, and that like thing, that box that like puts us right into alpha brainwave state and accept all those. I don't know how to describe them as programs without being very insulting, but yeah.
Go ahead and
more salt.
It is what it is.
Oh, we did it at the same time. Look at that. That's funny.
Well, that came out at the exact same time.
Yeah, that was probably some telepathy going on there.
Oh my God, that's funny.
We were right
yeah, that's what my mom used to tell me, like when I had asked all these things. It is what it is. And then after a while, I just keep pressing her on topics. It's like my head's starting to hurt. Like literally people are in pain when we bring this stuff up. It's like,
yeah.
Cognitive dissonance is really bad. And then we have also, what do they call it? Stockholm syndrome. Those two things seem to be very prominent on the planet. But what do you think? I mean, what's your thinking, either one of you? What can we do to be of more assistance for the waking up?
You go ahead first. I'll tune into it.
Patience, learn patience, because they're going to be asking a lot of stuff that we're going to think that, boy, that's a stupid question, you know? So we got to learn how to be patient. You know, I have people all the time that come to me and they're asking me stuff like, oh, you haven't realized that yet? And I say it in my head, but I don't try to project it to them. I'm having to learn. I think a lot of my journey right now is learning patience with a lot of these people. And because we're here to help them. That's our journey right now. We came here for this game and this roller coaster ride. We thought it was going to be a fun adventure, right? And
Then it was going to be this bad.
Well, I'm taking a break after this. I'm going on vacation. I'm going back to Sirius. I'm going to go on some vacation time. So I'm just going to hop everywhere.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone needs a vacation. That'd be wonderful. I guess the quarantine's not really that. It might, because people are going through extreme stress and stuff. But
dude, it's actually house arrest because you quarantine sick people. These people aren't sick.
All right.
But
you're killing grandma. Why?
Oh my God. Yeah. Keep going, Sean.
We have no immune system. Just go back to sleep. I've been based on intuition from Sterling. I use the word. So I'm getting that you're really good at heart knowing and intuition, and even more than what you've tapped into. But it's very impressive what you've tapped into.
She's an intuitive, definitely.
Yeah, so I guess since that's one of your 10 out of 10s that I'm allowed to talk about now. You are well-rounded in everything it takes to bring a person's intuition to a greater level as well, including the planet, including the collective unconsciousness. So that can make a greater awakening into itself, improving the crap out of everyone's intuition. And it wouldn't cost you much energy because you're really good at it. And you have a collective army that Earth would totally work with you in to where you essentially you go to Earth and negotiate. It's okay, I'll help all these people wake their intuition, and can you grant me an army? And then you'll be able to improve that as you amplify it, and put a little bit of energy into that daily, as long as And then
I've built. I have a huge army. I have a huge following, an army of very woke people that they stand with me, not behind me, with me, and we're all waking people up. And Gail's part of it, and we're all together, standing together, not behind one another, but together. That's what we have to remember.
And I think, Sean, if you'd be open to it, that we should do this more often.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the
honored
exchange.
to be on with you guys. You guys are amazing, really powerful spirits. I feel like I know you. And to going into your ability for awakening, I'd say two types of things, because energetic circuitry. So I guess you could draw out awakening blueprints for a person's body, as well as the entire planet. The Earth wants to trade you for this. It'll take maybe a month to do it for the Earth. I mean, that's honestly shorter than anyone else doing it. And you'll have an army of friends. So do the unity meditation with that to increase the army of everything in unity to make that structure. Essentially, you're making a big house of energy and structure and grids and stuff, because you're able to make actual ley lines. You earn the ability to make ley lines above and below the Earth, all that. And some of them around the planet, you will actually find you will have a hand in. and some of the nodal points and place of power, all that.
Awesome.
You want to visualize a energetic grid or geometry or multiple geometries all over a planet. You can have them spinning all that, and then program into, if it has a geometry in etheric space, it's called information memory. So then you can have that set up, put more energy, feel into it with your heart, bring it to where you have no doubt on your heart that is complete. And you can actually get it done faster than a month. A month is if you didn't pay much attention to it. If you did meditate on it, you'd probably make it go be done in a few days. And then you want to set up a thing having to do with awakening currents. I believe it's an emanation from the heart that goes all directions like a star. So you're trying to create an energetic circuit that erupts from an individual's heart and goes throughout their entire being omnidirectionally. But the thing that keeps people from awakening in this is a lot of blocks in the cells. It's kind of like a lantern, and you're getting rid of the lantern so the light shines into every cell, and you're wanting to permeate that. Start doing that within yourself. You'd be very quick at it, and then trade it with others like your entourage, and to where they're all, and then you have an army of all these people with awakening circuitry, and then you can
You
put
reminded
that
me.
throughout the collective unconsciousness.
That is so interesting.
That is awesome. You know what? You reminded me of someone. His name is Audrey, and he's Pleiadian, real Pleiadian, from Pleiades in a ship to get here. Anyway, he talks about a star meditation, which is a lot like what you just described. Start in your heart and you grow the star.
Oh, send me a link. I'd love to view that.
Oh, okay. I will.
That's beautiful.
He runs a Ascension Radio, it's called, and I know he's been having some health problems, unfortunately. But spend some time.
Are you friends with him? I always get sad when I hear other light workers are getting attacked. Usually they get attacked because they are doing something very powerful, or they have a very bright light and something.
Audrey is like that, and he actually spent time at Area 51 when he was small. I'll have to send you more information. In fact, I was going to interview him, and we had it all set up, and then he had to go into the hospital, and it wasn't just once. He went in there like 3 times, and I tell you what, hospitals, from what I know of them, are not any place you want to be.
Maybe we can trade or something.
But anyway, yeah, I will definitely I'll bring you guys together. He's really cool. I mean, he's in Arizona here too, with it's called Ascension.
You're in Arizona?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Are you in Sedona or?
Yeah, I'm in Sedona. This place will surprise you. It's an awesome PowerPoint, but you'd be surprised at the number of people that are not awake.
Really? What kind of demographics are there? Of types of thought?
Well, I'm in the place they call the Village, and there's a lot of people that wear masks, even out walking their dog.
I'm having to wear shirts that say protest things.
I haven't seen any shirts with protests, no. But I heard there's a little bit in West Sedona, which is a little different. I'm glad there's no mandate, and the mandate is not a law anyway, but anyway, there's none of that in the Village here that you have to wear a mask, because it's in the county, and the county is not, the sheriff is not in favor of that, so I'm happy about the sheriff here. But now in West Sedona, the mayor overrode the city council and mandated mask wearing, which is very unhealthy. And
it got mandated here day before yesterday.
Where are you at?
Shreveport, Louisiana.
That's an interesting place.
When I saw this coming, I sold my house in New Orleans and I moved up north.
Well, I was in Phoenix, and I can't tell you how happy I am to be out there.
I know we both got out around the same time. I said, I want to get closer to the Ozarks. You know, it seems like, you know, get closer to country than an openness and awake people that are waking up, because there are a lot of awake people around me where I'm at.
There's great people here too. I mean, I don't mean to undercut the
our
Sedona.
mayor wrote everybody must wear that. I call it a bad thing. I shouldn't call it a bad thing, but that mask. And I had to just stop myself, guys. But
I wouldn't be offended.
I'm not going to wear it now. You know, I have a past history of having some pulmonary embolism, so I have no business wearing one of the masks because I have damage.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of any virus in the immune
Neither
system.
am I.
No, I'm not either. And I feel like I'm being imprisoned and enslaved because that's my intuitiveness coming out. What these things are really for. You know, not only to try to get you on their new 5G surveillance, but the you know, the imprisonment, the enslavement, see the sheep comply, you know, and that's I do not allow myself to be imprisoned on this planet. I will not allow myself to be imprisoned like that.
I got masks that said the virus name and then 1984.
No,
yeah, there you go.
So my brother-in-law, he's in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and their mayor, he has a picture of the mayor on his mask, and it says, "This prick made me wear this," because he has to wear it in the grocery store. But it says, "This prick made me wear this," and it's a picture of the mayor on his mask, and he makes sure the mask is real big and loose, so you know, and his mayor's big and fat, so. He's got the big fat mayor there, and this prick made me wear this on the other side, pointing to the press.
What people need to do.
I don't know if you noticed,
this whole thing into a protest that makes people wake up.
Yeah, you know what? I did a couple of interviews with a guy. He calls himself Thinker too, and he wore a mask, but it was just over the eyes like this, and then he had written on it, "You are being deceived."
Yeah, they don't really care if it's effective. They just want it on you, right?
Yeah, and they want.
Well, it's not on a scientific perspective. It's not. I know we're running out of time. I could tell you all about it, but it's like trying to prevent a dust molecule going through a chain link fence. You know, it's the pores on the mask are so much bigger than the particle of the Franken V. You know, so I'm safe. I'm protective. I'm healing. I'm loved. You know, I'm not gonna let. I'm not gonna sit here and take the retroviruses that I'm breathing out and the dental bacteria and other bacteria that I'm breathing out get caught up in something to re-breathe it in and reinfect myself. No, I'm not going to do that.
I won't do it either. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, disease and illness thrives in an environment that has low oxygen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. And then when you breathe in, right, through your nose and breathe out, a lot of those times you're not only breathing out these viruses and bacteria, but you're breathing out negative energies. You're releasing them.
So then you're sucking it all back in.
You're sucking it all back in. I'm not sucking that stuff back in.
Stress, all it increases. Yep.
Yeah, the cortisol goes up, everything. I already got
the immunity goes down.
Going on.
Like the perspective is like, oh, if I guess to the people that think that this is all done for their health, it looks like if they're even able to go into the perspective of waking up past what the mainstream media says, it's like, oh, they're making all these mistakes. All of it is planned if you understand the goal, which is like, oh, we got to lessen the population through methods that don't implicate us for murder.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what it is.
Bingo,
bingo. What it is.
So anyway, one of my friends, one of my friends is Judy Mikovits. So yeah, I could absolutely tell you guys. Well, I've told Gail a lot, but you know, yeah, when you personally know Judy Mikovits, you get an earful. So. You know, we kind of lecture in at the same places sometimes. So that's how we met 4 years ago in Colorado at Autism One. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another favorite of mine is Stephanie Sinoff. And
Yeah, Stephanie,
I know
I've
her.
been to Washington, D.C.
I
with Stephanie
interviewed-
Seneff. Yeah.
I interviewed her with the glyphosate stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually, some of my work is on her landing page at MIT. So she's a friend of mine too. She's an amazing lady. When we saw the Healthy People 2020 agenda coming up around 2017, 2018, we saw it. And Sheila Ely from Vaxxed had us come to Houston. And that's when I introduced her to Stephanie and to Judy. And when I called up Stephanie and I said, you got to get to Houston because they're going to try to force Vaccadoodle on people over 65 and all the children. And then they're going to get us in the middle after. And I can remember Stephanie saying, well, I hope you're coming to visit me in prison because I ain't getting one of those things.
Yeah, sounds a lot like Nazi.
You know, and
Same
this
here.
is
I'm
a
over that
senior
age.
research scientist at MIT. And they call her a quack. You don't become a senior research scientist at MIT because you're a quack and you don't know what you're doing.
Right,
Okay.
just like Judy.
And she's on Quack Watch, everything now. It's disgusting.
And as a matter of fact, I'm to the point where I want to tell people, when you see they said it's not true because it's been fact checked, it's true and you better read it. If they call somebody a quack, you can be darn sure that they're putting out some truth.
Yeah,
and that's
they're not
why
putting all this money onto fact check programs to do everything. And you'll notice they don't block all the false stuff on the internet. They just block what they're very concerned about.
Oh, wait. I did an interview last week because I talk about some very controversial stuff on my Facebook page that, hey, I'm not shocked. I'm shocked that they haven't struck me down a few times. But
myself
I
too.
went and posted peer review research and I got put in Facebook jail for 3 days.
And I saw what you had posted, Sean, and I posted it on my Facebook page, the one about the community standards that you had on your page about hanging all the white people. That's okay to put that down.
Yeah.
But to take away the peer review research I posted, I went in Facebook jail for 3 days for that.
Yeah, I posted a
Ministry of Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we probably should be bringing this to a close because it's getting pretty long here.
Yeah, 2 hours.
And anyway, it's been a wonderful conversation, and I really think we need to do this again. If you're both willing, we will set up another show. Is that okay with you, Sean?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're special. We're all special, but you're special because you have the potential to help a lot of people, and
it's nice.
And so do we.
From you.
So, thank you, all of you, both of you, and we will do this again. And thank you, audience, for listening. And we will post this around as much as we possibly can. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Let me pause this here.